I'm Elizabeth Gilbert, and it's a real pleasure to be here, taking a moment to reflect on one of the most transformative experiences of my career, presenting my TED Talk, Your Elusive Creative Genius. That talk, delivered back in 2009, was a turning point, not just in how people saw creativity, but in how I came to understand it myself. When I first stepped onto that stage, I had no idea the impact those 20 minutes would have. I was nervous, of course. After all, TED had this reputation for being the arena where big ideas are born. And there I was, this woman who had written Eat, Pray, Love, trying to articulate something that had been simmering in my mind for years: the relationship between creativity and fear. On the original talk, the central idea of my talk was simple but radical: that creativity isn't something we own or control, but something we can engage with. I spoke about the ancient concept of the genius as a force outside ourselves, a divine, mystical entity that collaborates with us. It wasn't about diminishing human effort, it was about creating a healthier dynamic. Because honestly, we've romanticized the tortured artist for far too long. I wanted to challenge that narrative and suggest a new, more sustainable way to approach creative work. I'll never forget the audience's reaction when I shared the story of the poet Ruth Stone, chasing inspiration across fields like it was a wild animal. People laughed, nodded, and, I hope, felt a little relief. My goal wasn't just to inspire, it was to free people from the crushing pressure of thinking their creativity had to be perfect or endless. That shift, from thinking of yourself as the sole source of brilliance to seeing yourself as part of a creative partnership, was liberating for me, and it seemed to resonate deeply with others. How the ideas have evolved. In the years since that talk, the conversation around creativity has expanded in ways I couldn't have imagined. Social media has given us this 24/7 pressure to create and share. People are more exposed to feedback and criticism than ever before. This digital age has amplified the very fear of failure I spoke about in my talk. And yet, it's also given us incredible new tools for collaboration, experimentation, and expression. What's evolved for me is this: I now see creativity as a relationship not just with inspiration, but with yourself. Yes, you collaborate with your genius, but you also have to collaborate with your humanity. That means honoring rest, patience, and the ebbs and flows of your creative energy. Not every day will bring a masterpiece, and that's okay. Showing up is what matters. I've also become more interested in the why behind creativity. Why do we create? What are we trying to say, and to whom? For me, it's become less about producing something to be admired and more about connecting with others, with myself, with the moment. The process, I've realized, is the point. What I'd tell my 2009 self. If I could step back in time and talk to myself before that TED Talk, I'd say this: Elizabeth, the act of standing up there and sharing your truth will be its own creative act. Don't worry about whether it's perfect. Trust that what you have to say will land where it needs to. And I'd remind myself, and everyone listening, that creativity doesn't demand brilliance or exhaustion. It demands faith. Faith that showing up is enough. Faith that the genius, the muse, will meet you halfway. And faith that, even on the days when inspiration feels far away, the act of trying still matters. The journey continues. To this day, I'm floored by the responses I still get from that talk. I hear from artists, writers, scientists, and even business leaders who tell me that thinking of creativity as a partnership rather than a burden has transformed their lives. It's humbling and beautiful to know that a few words spoken on a stage over a decade ago can still ripple out in ways I'll never fully understand. So, as I sit here reflecting, I'm grateful, not just for the talk itself, but for the ongoing dialogue it sparked. Creativity isn't a destination, it's a journey. And I'm so thankful to still be on that journey alongside so many of you. Thank you for being part of this beautiful, messy, and magical conversation.